Tonight on the docket, the president won't let go of a jobs bill that's politically dead. Last night, the president's third stimulus package failed to pass the Senate, and now his own Democrats are dismembering the bill, chopping it up piece by piece. Still, the president insists that a U.S. economic recovery hinges on heavy-handed government schemes. Take a listen to his latest argument.
None of us make it on our own. You know, somebody, an outstanding entrepreneur like a Steve Jobs, somewhere along the line, he had a teacher who helped inspire him. All those great internet businesses wouldn't have succeeded unless somebody had invested in the government research that helped to create the internet. We don't succeed on our own.
Government research that helped to create the internet. I guess he's hanging out with Al Gore. In the president's view, we don't succeed on our own, and we can't enjoy economic security without government central planning. Why, Vice President Joe Biden went so far yesterday as to suggest that rapes and murders will increase if Congress doesn't pass the jobs bill. They both seem to believe that economic growth is predicated first and foremost on government. America, this is a dangerously backward idea that will keep this economy stuck in its tracks. Economic growth depends not on the latest policy prescriptions from the brain trust in Washington, but on the creative energy of entrepreneurs who risk their own fortunes to pursue an idea and to find a need and fill it. So now, the White House and the Democrats are busy cutting up their own jobs bill. Is there anything there worth keeping? Who better to ask than Utah Republican Senator Mike Lee, author of the terrific book, if you haven't seen it, do so, The Freedom Agenda. Senator Lee, it's a pleasure. Welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Thank you, Judge.
Is there anything in the president's jobs bill which would have borrowed $500 billion and tried to spend it between now and November 2012 that's worth saving?
Well, you know, there is some talk in there about a tax cut for companies that hire new employees, and I think that could be a good thing. There's another provision that would extend accelerated depreciation so as to encourage corporate investment in equipment, thus stimulating the American economy. I think those are some good ideas. The problem is when they're not made permanent, the ability for them to do any real good and actually create jobs is limited. So if you were willing to make those permanent, I think I could support some of those. And, you know, there are other things the president has said in the last few months, but that might not be in this bill, including the fact that we shouldn't have the highest corporate income tax rate in the world. I think reducing that and perhaps collapsing some of the loopholes out of the code would be a good thing, but so far that's not in this bill.
Is anybody
anybody
on Capitol Hill, besides you and the senators and congressmen who really believe in the free market, thinking of bold ideas like maybe no corporate taxes, since that money is ultimately taxed some other way when the recipient of it receives it, either because money has been paid to the recipient or a salary has been given to the recipient? How about if we reduce corporate taxes to zero? Won't that cut unemployment radically and quickly?
Well, yeah, that's a possibility. And those of us, including myself, who are fans of the fair tax proposal, understand that corporate income taxes end up getting passed downstream anyway.
Right.
All of us as American consumers end up paying them. There is no proposal other than something like that, a dramatic transformation of our tax system right now that would do that. But there are things like the proposal that I'm introducing that would permanently reduce the tax imposed on repatriated foreign earned profits, down to 5%. If we were just to do that, we would encourage potentially trillions of dollars in foreign earned revenue, revenue earned outside the United States by U.S. corporations. We'd encourage a lot more of that to be brought back home, where it could be invested and be used to create jobs.
I want to address an issue with you, and I think you carefully mentioned it when you said your proposal would permanently repatriate this money by permanently reducing the tax rate on income generated overseas from 35% corporate tax rate to 5%. Well, what does the president and what do the Democrats have against making things like this permanent? Because as you know, even if you give a corporation or an individual a very good temporary incentive, they can't plan beyond the lifespan of the incentive. And corporations and individuals are most effective when they can plan for the long run, when they know what taxes will be in 2014 as well as 2012.
That's exactly right, and that's exactly why I push for permanence in each of these areas, especially in the area of wealth repatriation, because companies need to be able to plan ahead for the future. It's not going to create quite the incentive for new job creation unless it's permanent. I suppose the knock against it is that if it's not permanent, then they can't use it as a bargaining chip years down the road after it has sunset, or when it's about to sunset, when they want to try to exchange it for something else.
All right, before I let you go, I want to ask you an unrelated question. What are you doing investigating Google to see if there's any monopoly activity or any antitrust activity there? Why would a free marketer like you want to use the power of the government to investigate one of the most successful private enterprises in recent years?
Well, we had a hearing recently in the Senate Judiciary Committee, the subcommittee on antitrust. As a free market conservative, my goal is to try to encourage companies to engage in their own kind of self-regulation so that we can keep government out of this business. I've heard a lot of companies coming to me complaining about this or that activity. I think these are activities that are relatively easily dealt with within Google, and I suspect that just as they've dealt with other issues that have come up on their own, they will probably find a way to address these ones. That's my goal here, is to keep government out of the way, to avoid seeing the creation of yet another federal bureaucracy that would impose more regulations on American business, particularly in the unregulated frontier of the internet.
Got it. Got it. That would be the internet that was not created by the government. Senator Lee, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.